Live from the Coachella Valley in Palm Springs is wine from on the vine to the road, tasted. And that is all I have in that voice. My name is Bryan, and sitting to my right is...
This is Jasmine.
Jasmine. Hello, Jasmine. She's the smart one. I'm the dumb one. And we're going to be talking about... What? We're going to be talking about what we're doing probably every other episode or every couple episodes. Every other episode, every couple episodes. That's the same thing. We're going to be going over unique locations on wine. This week is about the Canary Islands. We tried a wine, I think, a week ago.
Or maybe, a week ago.
Yeah, about a week ago from the Canary Islands. It's from the island of Terenife.
Terenife. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about how you
I just threw it on you. I know. You're like,
there.
Yeah, a Terenife. Yeah, the island of Terenife or a Terenife. There's no hyphen over the E, so I'm guessing it's Terenife. But yeah, it's one of them. Center Island is right next to Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that for today. And the reason why we picked this is because Jasmine was looking up unusual wine locations, and the Canary Islands is on there. I like Canary Islands too, also, because out here in the Coachella Valley, we have a couple of plants that come from the Canary Islands. And for some reason, the plants that come from the Canary Islands are exaggerated. They're visually exaggerated. So if you have a pine tree from anywhere else in the United States, whether it be an Italian stone, or you have an Aleppo pine or an Afghan pine, the Canary Island pine is exaggerated. It's got longer leaves, longer pines, longer needles, And then if you got a date palm, whether it be a Zaidis or a Deglet Nor, the Canariensis, the Phoenix Canariensis, which is the Canary Island date palm, the palm fronds are 5 feet longer than the other largest palms. So you got a 15-foot frond on a regular date palm. You got a 25-foot palm frond on the Canary Island. And then you have the euphorbias, which is similar to a cactus. It's similar to a cactus / succulent, and they're highly exaggerated too. They're thicker. They put off much brighter flowers. And so anytime you talk about the Canary Islands, it's very tropical in some areas, in a desert in others. But the plants we have out here in the Coachella Valley, anything with the word Canary Island at the end of it, expect a highly visual, exaggerated type of a plant. So as we talk about the wine today, the name of the wine is named after a plant that's only located in the Canary Islands. Is there anything, before we move on to the wine, is there anything you want to bring out from this week? Or actually, what was it? We were talking to your friend Tom about the Canary Islands. And
I was asking him just a thing of brief conversation about Canary Island wines, and he said, "Is that where they capture canaries and crush them up and put them in the wine?" Ha ha, Tom, ha ha.
Yeah.
So funny.
We would never do that. That's mean, but that was funny.
Yeah. Silly Tom.
Silly Tom. So that's our joke for the day. We have nothing against birds or anything like that. It just sounds funny. No, I'm not going to go that far. Yeah.
Anyways,
anything about this week?
Really? I don't know.
Yeah. I know Monday and Tuesday were stressful, and I couldn't remember why. I just remember being super stressed on Monday and Tuesday.
We went to, last weekend we went to the wineries. We already mentioned that, right?
Yeah, we mentioned that one already. No, Monday and Tuesday, I think I had some guys that didn't show up I had people canceling on me left and right, and
We just were working.
yeah,
this
Monday
week,
and
that's
Tuesday
it.
were super
Not
stressful.
a lot going on this week.
Yeah, I think I lost like 3 or 4 pounds.
Studying
Yeah.
and working.
So yeah, the Canary Islands. I'm actually gonna let you want to start,
Okay.
or do you want me to start?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about the history of the wine or the area, if that's what you. I don't know what you were gonna start off with, but
Yeah. Let's start off on that. Well, first let's talk about the name of the wine that we tried. Is called a Tahinaste Blanco. It was a 2018. It had a score. I think Wine Enthusiast gave it an 88 on the 2018. It's not bad.
and it's from the pronunciation is Tenerife. You say it like that, Spanish.
Oh,
Tenerife.
Tenerife is the name of the island.
Tenerife.
Tenerife.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is from the island of Tenerife. Tenerife. But
You speak Spanish more than I do.
Yeah.
Come on.
a Tahinaste is named after a plant called the Tower of Jewels. And Icium Wilpretii is the scientific name or the Latin name. It's named after the gentleman who found it. His name was Mr. Wilpret. They just put 2 I's at the end to make it Latin. It's found only on the Canary Islands. It's a biennial, and it's about a 10-foot long high stalk. It lasts for 2 years. It grows a bunch of rosettes the first year. Then the second year it flowers, and then it dies. But the flowering effect is really beautiful. And it comes from a family called the Buglas family. Beekeepers love these because they got a lot of nectar in them. They grow a lot of flowers. So if they can plant them anywhere around their beehives or any beehives that they have set up, they really like them because the nectar is really fragrant and there's a lot. So, and I already talked about plants that come from there, the Canary Island natives, Canary Island sage, the Canary Island morning glory. If you think the morning glory has a lot of flowers, wait till you see the Canary Island morning glory. And then the sage, the Canary Island sage is just, it is huge. It is a giant plant filled with flowers, again, all visually exaggerated. But yeah, so we tried the Tahinaste Blanco 2018. And so you know about that. I'm going to let Jasmine.
I'll talk more about it. I'll talk more about it when I get to that.
Okay.
Well, let me just, since you're talking about the wine, I'll just go to that.
Okay.
So again, this is from the winery Tahinaste, which is from Tenerife Islands on the Canary Islands, or it's the island right centered in the middle of, because there's 7 total. So it's right there in the middle. It's west of Africa, and it's controlled and owned by Spain, and it has Portuguese influence. So very interesting and unique location, first of all. So that's one of the reasons why we picked it out. The wine that we tried was a white wine, again, a Blanco, like you said. And it's traditionally a very unique wine because it's the grape is actually a Palomino grape, which is what the varietal is called. And it's unique to this location on the Canary Islands because of its volcanic soil. And so indigenously, this grape tastes like, it can have many different attributes, but one strong attribute that comes out in the flavor is the salt or briny tone or sea salt. And when I was tasting it, I don't just taste sea salt, but I've had black lava salt before. The one that I tried was a Hawaiian lava salt, and you use very little in cooking. It's very potent. It's like thicker too. You can see the shaved pieces of salt, and so you have to be careful how much you use. but it's a very distinctive or rare taste. And so that's what I was thinking of when I was trying to think of the type of salt, because I'm all into salts. Like I my favorite is pink peppercorn, or it's rainbow peppercorn pepper. And then when it comes to salt, I love Himalayan pink salt. But another favorite of mine is the Hawaiian black lava salt. I've also had gray salt before, and that tastes totally different. So each salt is distinctive. This one stands out for that tone, that more of an earthy kind of minerality, like a deeper kind of heavier soil taste. And that can be a good thing. That's denoting all the significant native flavors of this area. So the aromatics were like fresh sliced green apples, which to me highlighted malic acid, or what's called a tartaric acid. It also brought out like a mustard seed or wild mustard. And I looked up some of the flowers also indigenous to Terenife, which are, well, there's one called charlock, and it looks they're yellow in color, and they're a tiny flower, and they spread across the land, very, like a huge majority of the land is just covered like a blanket on this particular island. And it also had like more of an earthier floral note of lilac, and the indigenous floral tone from the lilac family is called Circium or something, I think. And that grows on Terenife hills, like on the hillsides. So that was like the floral notes that I got. So I looked it up to see what was indigenous to the land. And when we were both smelling it, we were just having a hard time figuring out what we were smelling. It was so unique.
Yeah.
And we know why. It's just like I brought out earlier, the grape is a reflection of that terroir. There's some grapes that show a reflection of the terroir. Another one is the Brunello region in Italy. So it shows a reflection of the terroir. Not all grapes do that, but this is one of the grapes that also does that. And then the taste I tasted on the palate right away, almost like a citrus, but it was more like a lime. I was telling you, like if you think of the oil of a lime, when you have like a smooth lime that has a lot of juice, and you feel that texture of the lime, it's kind of more oily. And there's some limes that are a little drier and firmer on the outside, but it's more like a thin-skinned oil of a lime. And then I also got taste of sun-dried citrus slices. So if you were to slice like lemons and grapefruit and dry them out in the sun, and you'd have they look like chips, but they're slices of fruit. That's what it tasted like to me. And then potatoes, like we had made, which was too bad we didn't eat it with this wine, but we made Peruvian chicken the other day.
Oh, that was
and
so good.
There's a creamy note of Peruvian potatoes, which I've tasted Peruvian potatoes before in the past. And because I was trying to reach for what kind of potato am I tasting, and I thought about it really hard, I remembered that I had tasted Peruvian potatoes, so it was like the creaminess of that potato. And then there was a toasty note or a nutty tone, but it was unusual. And came to me that I was tasting chestnuts. I don't like chestnuts, but that was hard for me to remember because I don't really eat them, but I've had them. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying to think of what kind of nut, is that toasty tone. So I got the chestnut tone. Again, this is a very complex wine, and that's one of the personality of the wines from this region. They're very unique. So then it went into like a plantain or banana oil. And then on the fruits, I tasted guava and fig. And on the ending, a minerality of like a shale, or kind of like that kind of taste of minerality.
Yeah, it was a shale with a mix of that salinity from the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the briny tone with the shale. And then on the finish, what I thought of was that this was truly an individual wine contributing to the personality of all of its rare, unique location of the Canary Islands. So it's that Spanish ownership, the influence of the Portuguese, and the fact of the different heat elements in the wind that contribute from the Africa and torrid wind currents that go that direction. Those all add to what type of climate, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. It's a subtropical climate on the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
So what was also interesting about this location is it's so diverse that its ecosystem consists of jungles, forests, deserts, tropical beaches, and mountains. So they have like every ecosystem you could think of. And the only other place that I know that has that, I mean, there's probably a couple others, but like the island of Hawaii has many different ecosystems of the Big Island.
Yeah.
But this one has more. So it's like every type of like a different type of ecosystem is all together on this particular area of the world.
Yeah. Well, it has the fourth largest volcano in the world, I think, and it's the It's the highest mountain of Spain. I think it's like 13,000 feet or 13,000 meters. No, that'd be too high. No, but it's high. It's really 3,300 meters, which would be 9,000 feet. Yeah, it's a big volcano, and I guess the last eruption was in the 1700s.
I believe so.
Yeah, like 1770 something, which is why their soil does so well over there, because it covered most of the Canary Islands in ash.
Before that, it was in the 18th century, so before the volcanic soils came about, the volcanic eruption, the agriculture was much different. The whole land was covered in green. Yeah. But the volcanic eruption changed the entire soils to volcanic soils.
Yeah, especially to
that particular location.
The two eastern islands got hit the worst. Yeah. Yeah.
It's Lanzarote is one of them.
Yeah, Lanzarote. Yeah, but it was a good wine. When we went and picked it up, if you're not gonna find wines from Canary Islands from the small wineries. You're only going to find them from the big producers, because the Canary Island, the wine, they don't export a lot. They export very little because for one, the population there, or the locals, they're high demand, and plus a majority of the Canary Islands, a lot of their money is based on tourism. So you have high tourism, and so they keep a lot of the wines there. So yeah, you're not going to find a lot of Canary Island wines out at the regular stores. Even the big box stores, they don't have them. If they have them, it's very, very small amount. We had to go to a little hole in the wall store and find this one. And it's small, so small. It's only 21% of wines come from the Canary Islands. 21% wine production. Oh, okay. 21% is big. Well, I know, but 16% is not that much, and that's from Argentina. Only produces that much. Oh, okay. So I know it's a little bit more, but really, like on a whole scale. Is that included with Spain? Are they including that with Spain? That's just from the Canary Islands. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Right. Oh, so they only export 21% of what they make. Exactly. Oh, okay. All right. So they grow 82 grape varieties. Mm-hmm. It's a huge amount. That's a lot. To keep people who are like Darwin, to keep them going and thinking. But they only commercially sell 30 types of grape varietals out in the commercial production world. Okay. But 82 is what they grow for the entire islands, different varieties. That's a lot. Man. So we were watching this YouTube video on the Canary Island wines. And it was fun. It was interesting. It was interesting. Good job. I was really impressed in how they did, but they were saying one thing that I looked and I could not find anything. But at the signing of the Constitution, they were saying on the video that Canary Islands, they quite possibly used some of the Canary Island wine at the signing of the Constitution or after the after party or whatever they did then. But everything I looked up, it was Madeira or Madeira. In fact, they
They use that to make a Spanish.
They drank $27,000 worth of
Wow.
of a mix of Madeira and Burgundy or Bordeaux. Sorry,
Bordeaux wines.
Yeah, of Bordeaux wines.
Wow.
So they had a $27,000 bill or something like that, or $17,000 bill. It was a $17,000 bill that they had for 2 days before the signing of the Constitution, and that was fun to look up. I'm sorry, it has nothing to do with the Canary Islands, but it was funny. So it's the most tropical of all of Europe's wines. It sits at 28 degrees. That's the lateral. So in the past, this location was perfect for naval trade routes. So the reason why wine did so well, or grapes did so well there, is because it was a stopping point for the English Navy, for the Royal Navy, because of the way that the winds run from the north. They run from the northeast and they come down, and so they're able to stop here.
So it became like a main trading.
Yeah,
route.
it became like a trading area. Yeah, it's like on the way, and that's why they're saying that there's a possibility that Canary Island wines were at the signing of the Constitution, because when the boats came here with everybody from Europe, that is a stopping point. So they're thinking that maybe some of the wine came from there, but there's nothing written anywhere in stone or in paper that says that. So,
Well, during the 16th, 17th, and 18th century was Tenerife's biggest or most successful wine trading year for centuries. And then it brought out that in 1502 was their first vintage they produced wine. So they have a long history.
Yeah.
So it could have been during one of those centuries that happened. We're just not exactly sure on the date. If it was the same time period you're saying that they signed.
Yeah, I heard that they started really making wines in 1777, and everything was written and signed in 1776. But you told me that, which you'll go through in the history, that it was like
It was 1600.
it was in the 1600s.
The year 1600 is when all that was happening with the routes and the stopping of the naval trade route. And what happened is 62% of total trade taxes were accounted for from the Canary Islands because of that main route. And then by 1688, it grew to 90%.
Ooh.
So the actual start of wine production came in 1604 after the war ended with Spain.
Okay. Yeah. So
Helps clarify the timeline of when everything happens.
Yeah, I guess with a lot of people writing on this, and Canary Islands being sort of an unknown area or a little known area, you're going to get a lot
because it's an
of
isolated
fluctuations
area.
of truth and facts.
Right, and only certain people have studied it, and then others go off of what they've heard, maybe from other people or people they know. But there's more of an accuracy, I think, if you follow the timeline of when it started, of what the history is, and then you get a little bit more of a foundation of what exactly happened during what time period.
So I'm going to go into who makes this wine, just really quick, and then I'll let you do the history of the Canary Islands, if that's okay with you. Is that okay? All right. Yeah, so for once, this comes from Tenerife, and it is the most populous out of all the islands, the second being Gran Canaria. It is, on the island of Tenerife. I believe there are 5 Spanish denominations of wine or denomination of origin. And this one comes from the Valle de la Orotava. And it's on the northwestern area, the northwestern coastline on Tenerife. And this is from a wine grower called Bodegas Tajinaste. And this was established in 1977 by Agustin G. Ferreras. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm really sorry if I'm not. By his grandfather. Now, it was established in 1977, but his grandfather planted some of the first vines in 1914. So there's some mixed information there. Maybe he started selling and paying his taxes then in 1977. He was growing wine before the DO was even set up, because that DO was set up in 1995. Who's the gentleman who, man, what is his name? The guy who bottles it and sends it out.
David Ballard.
Yeah,
he's off of the East Coast.
Yeah. So it's
David Ballard Wines.
Yeah, it is. But the enologist is Augustine G. Ferreras, or Ferreras is probably how you pronounce it. He's the enologist. So he is the one who makes these wines. I'm sure David Ballard helps. There's no information on where he went to school or anything like that. So I wish I had more information on him. I tried looking. It was very hard, very limited information. But they have, under their management, they have, I think I counted 28 hectares. They rent 9, they buy from 16, and they own 3. And that's all the information I have on who makes this wine. Oh, and one more thing. I know this goes back a little bit, but when you look, I was talking to one of my friends I was telling him I was going to do a podcast on the Canary Island wines, and like, oh, that's the island, that's the wine that they build in the pits. Well, only island where they do that on is on the island of Lanzarote, because there's the northeastern winds, and they hit that island so hard, and it's also the closest to Africa, that they gotta build little stone walls and put all the grapes in pits. If not, the wind will just destroy them. So that's the only island that they do that on, is on the island of Lanzarote. So when you see those pictures of the pits and little walls, that's the one island that they do it on. Some information, a little bit mixed. I'm sorry for mixing you guys up, but yeah.
All right, did you talk about how the Canary Islands is one of the largest wine producers of the world?
I did not.
Oh, sorry, not of the world, of the island chain. So yeah. So this, it says you brought out how there was 5 denominations or indigenous of origin. Sorry,
I just talked about how it's the highest populace. Mm-hmm. I only talked about one.
Well, so there's 5 total DOs on Tenerife, on the Canary Islands, and it is the largest wine producer of the island chain off the coast of Morocco. So roughly, it's 7,200 hectares under vine, which total about 18,000 acres, roughly, if you round it up. So the styles of wine produced from Isla Canarias is basically catering to modern tastes. So for the palate that is wanting a dry or more acidic wine and more highly aromatic. And in this area, they use old world techniques, even though they have modern technology. So basically, they use concrete vats in their wine techniques, and the wine growing techniques used throughout the Canary Islands are among the most unique and improvised in the entire world. And one of the highlights that I'd like to bring out is that there's a torrid heated winds that flow again from the South African continent that carry to the Canary Islands, and this is on a regular basis. So in order to protect the vineyards so that the vines don't get destroyed, they have to create these stone block walls. And what it does is it blocks off the heat factors that come through, because if they didn't create the cooling effect of the stone wall, their wine vineyards would not survive, because it's extremely hot. They actually worded it as like a terroristic heat that comes through, like devastating.
Yeah.
And the Canarian farmers, we have to hand it to them, because they have such a hard, challenging, beyond hard viticulture to work with. So the wine cultivators of this area have really proven to have strong tenacity and perseverance in their challenging climate, and they worded it as problematic growing environment, because it's constantly changing. There's issues that they deal with, and they're ongoing, so they have to be tenacious in their efforts. So I wanted to highlight that. So they also brought out the information that vines can be as old from 200 or 300 years old on the islands, and they use a very interesting technique that it's an old technique that's called braiding of the vines. And what they do is they tie the vines together with dried banana peels. And that's another thing that I tasted in the wine, that I said plantain and oil, banana oil, because that is influencing also the taste that the grape is getting. And it's because this is the method they use to, basically, they do this so that when they tie the vine, it's on its side horizontally, so it contributes to helping other crops grow. And so it's like a twofold, you could say, method to help the area, not just with the vines, but other production of crops.
I think they call that dreadlocking as well, right?
Yeah, there's a phrase in Spanish that I'll get to in a minute, if it's called cordon something, because it basically means a braided cord. So other vineyards have propped up a kickstand, and so they have the braided vine technique, and then they have like this propped kickstand that they use. That's for the areas that are on a cliffside, and they can only access them by horseback. So very, I thought
labor intensive.
Yeah, I thought the wines in Trentino were hard for the Italians, but this sounds a little bit more challenging. It's quite an ordeal for them to even accomplish and harvest the grapes on that kind of hillside. And you were saying that it's the west side that they were mostly planted on. You were talking about earlier.
Yeah, a majority of the grapes are planted on the west side, because that's the mountain regions. They block a majority of the wind coming from the east. But those eastern islands are the worst hit. The worst hit,
yeah. The western side doesn't have it as bad.
No, it's not as bad.
So the total location of Terenife is 320 kilometers, or it's 1,500, and it's 1,400 kilometers from Seville, Spain. So it has a total of vines planted there of 3,193 hectares, which we said was like roughly under 8,000 acres.
It was just under
under 8,000 acres. And again, 82 grape varietals are produced and 30 are commercially produced. So in the commercial world, they send out 30 grape varietals to be used, and they sell them across the world. The soil type is basalt, clay, gravel, iron, sand, and volcanic soils. They have many different types of soils of volcanic. It's not just one. It's very diverse. There's different colors too of volcanic soil on each island. And one thing that I wanted to point out too is I had studied before, I think it was a part of the western side of Australia that didn't get hit by phylloxera, and the Canary Islands due to its isolated location, was another rare few wine region that never fell prey to the devastating louse called phylloxera. Yeah. And so while 90% of wine or grapevines of the world were being destroyed, this particular area of Terenife and on the other parts of the Canary Islands didn't get affected because of their isolation.
Yeah, that's why some of their grapes are so old. Some of their wines are so old. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so this also contributes to the high numbers of ungrafted vines that are present today on the islands. Mm-hmm. So that's a very unique characteristic as well. And then the main grapes of this location are Listan Negro, which is their main red grape. It's high in acid and low in tannin, and you can compare it to a Gamay grape from Beaujolais, France, because they're both well suited for carbonic maceration. So not every grape is suited for that technique, and that type of maceration process, but the Listan Negro is. And then there's a Listan Blanco, which is what we had in that wine. And so the local name for it is called Palomino, and it's also has a second grape that comes second percentage-wise called Abillo, and those are the two grapes in that one. And that particular grape is a traditional indigenous grape that shows the reflection of the terroir, much like the one grown in Jerez, Spain. And so that's unique to that particular white varietal. And then there's also the grape called Malvasia volcanica, which is also known as Malvasia di Lanzarote, which is from that one island you were talking about. And that one is the one where they plant the single vine in each soil pit, hole. Yeah. And then they build like a small rock formation around to block the winds. Those grapes grow to be full-bodied and low acidity. They have low acidity with notes of citrus and tropical fruit tones on the Malvasia volcanica. And then the list goes on because they have 82 indigenous grapes. Yeah. But some of the other ones are called Babaso Negro, Listan Prieto, and then there's Marmajuelo, and there's another one called Vijarrego Negro and Vijarrego Blanco and Tentilla. And so those are some of the highlighted grapes after the three main ones. And then there's the training method I talked about earlier, where you were talking about the braided vine cord. That's a striking feature that they use in their training method of the vine. So it's called cordon trenzado, or braided cord in Spanish. So it's called cordon trenzado of the vine. It's a unique look. I mean, when you can see it visually, it's very different the way it looks and how the method is. And
I read too that they do that so they leave space for other types of plants that they want to.
Yeah, it's for accommodating alternative crops, so they have that available to them with that method. And then you brought out that it's also a form of a dreadlock.
Yeah, they call it a dreadlocking. Yeah,
and so that's a traditional method of the Canarian viticulturists and farmers. This optimizes the cultivation within the area of what they can grow. I thought that was really interesting. And then, unlike New World, again, the old world, which this is part of Old World, utilizes indigenous wild yeast. I've been studying about different yeast, cultivated yeast, and then indigenous wild yeast that are used in Europe. And this one particularly is indigenous to this location. So again, it has to do with the fact that they've been making wine for so long. And so they've utilized the indigenous yeast that comes from that land or that terroir. And so they use this to ferment their must, which is the grape juice that's going to be used to ferment and become a wine. So the use of old concrete vats and aging in old barrels is what highlights the winemakers of the Canary Islands as artisanal wine producers in the world. Terenife is arguably the cradle of the Canary Islands and the wine revolution. So what an awesome wine that we got to try. It's very unique. I don't think I have tried some very unique whites, but that was really different. I've had some from Paraguay, Uruguay that stood out with a Torontis grape, but this by far is tops that. It's just a little more unique, and it stands out. The fact that you're trying to, I can taste and smell so many things from wines, but that one was really challenging me to push harder to reach for it, because I've always found that fun to just see what you're tasting, what you're smelling, and that was very unique, I have to say.
Well, so when we went to go pick it up, the gentleman who sold it to us said, "I've tried it. It's different."
Yeah,
it's different.
Very simple.
Yeah, and it's not your normal white, because usually your normal whites, you taste it, it starts off slow, then it gets really bright, and then there's a taper. But this one started off slow. It didn't get super bright, but it did have a lot of flavor, and then it slowly tapered off. There wasn't like a huge, like, bright fruit in it. It wasn't, because usually you like pears and apples and all these other things, and it makes it super sweet.
But you were smelling and tasting that, but it was like dry.
Yes.
Like, that's the unique tone of the Canary Islands, is you're tasting a dry, more acidic wine. So it's but it doesn't shine like on the fruit flavors or the sugars at all.
Yeah.
So for someone who likes like Alsatian French wines, white varietals, Pinot Blanc, there's also Pinot Gris we've had from Alsace. There's areas in Italy where actually it was last year we tasted wines from Sicily, southern Italy, but if you go northern, like to March, Italy, they're drier, and we like have a go-to white wine from Italy. I'm trying to remember what wine that was. It's by Salandini Palastri, and then there's another one by Donachira, and those areas, those locations are similar to this. We're getting a drier white wine, more acidity, but it's not overbearing. It's just it has that brighter tone that comes through. So that was just to go along with your thought. So
like what I was talking about at the beginning, where the plants are exaggerated. So when you look up pictures of the Listan Negro, if you think a red grape anywhere else is red, you look at the Listan Negro from Canary Islands, and it is almost a black grape. It is exaggerated. It is visually exaggerated. So I'm looking forward to trying a red from here.
But that's the word Negro.
Yeah.
It's like my parents' dog Negro. She's black. She's... You don't look at her and think, oh, she's slightly off black. No, she's a deep black.
She's a deep black dog.
The grape bunch that we saw on the photo was like a purpley black, but even darker.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So it's very exaggerated, and also the nice thing about the Canary Islands is that they are very rich. It's very rich in nutrients. So because of the location,
they grow many things there. They grow
bananas
and potatoes, and I think you were bringing out corn and soy, or
corn and soy was on the last one.
Oh,
that was soybeans and
they grow a variety. Like there's just there's a whole assortment of things they can grow there because of those soil.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's not limiting.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And all the rainfall numbers were in millimeters, so I didn't take the time to translate it.
For what? The rainfall?
All the rainfall. It was like 88 millimeters or something like that. So I know they get about probably in between 16 and 20 inches of rain. They probably get more than that because they're on those islands right there. But yeah. Well, one thing amazing about the Canary Islands is that the plant that I brought up, which is the tahinaste, or the Tower of Jewels, it grows up through the crevices in the lava. So it's kind of adapted to the environment over there. And so that's a majority of the plants that grow in the Canary Islands are only from there, and they are adapted to that environment. It's just, everything is just, again, exaggerated. It's crazy.
Yeah, it says that there's 750 millimeters per year on the northern coast, and on the southern coast it's 200, or actually the other shores are 250.
That's a lot
of rainfall.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, and they talk in millimeters. I don't know what a millimeters transfer to.
They tell you for each of the islands, like Lanzarote is 4.3 milliliters. Like they break it up in what they get per year of annual temperature and rainfall. Mm-hmm. So the average temperature is 18.8 degrees Celsius, or 69.9% Fahrenheit. And this is the rainfall is like 11.8 inches per year.
That's on.
But that's on
the easternmost.
The easternmost side, island.
Yeah.
The western island, I'm not sure what the.
That's about 15 more inches than what we get here every year. Mm-hmm. I thought we were one of the driest places on Earth. We're less than 3 inches a year, but there is a place in South America called the Anaconda. The Anaconda, where it has had no rain has ever been recorded.
Oh yeah. That's the hottest places. That's the hottest place in the world.
It's the most driest.
Or driest, it's because they're actually without anything growing for food, like for all the animals that live out there. Mm-hmm. They're just like, even the areas where they go back to things, the knowledge they passed down to their younger,
the elephants,
like elephants and things like that.
I was in Africa though, but yeah.
I'm getting everything mixed up. So.
No, that's fine. No, but you're absolutely right. No, there I think it was the cheetahs. Mm-hmm. There were some South American cheetahs or cougars. That's pretty neat. I thought we were so special here, but I guess we're not. We're not special.
Oh, I think it's just there's uniqueness to everything that you look at. It just depends how you look at it.
By the way, if anybody has a Netflix, we are watching the I think it's called The World. It's like
Planet?
Planet.
Planet.
Our Planet.
Our Planet.
It is I think it's a total of 8 videos, and it is, whoever did the camera work on that is a genius.
Well, I did look up to see who
it made you feel like you're watching like a superhero movie. The mix with the music and the video, they capture some images that you would never see. I don't know how they caught these images of fish and sharks and elephants and lions and like huge amounts of birds. I can't believe it. It was the imagery is so awesome, and the David Attenborough doing the narration just helps. It increases it by like 50%. He's got a good voice. I wish I could talk like him in an English accent, but I can't.
Oh. Well, you can do lots of different voices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You were on radio once before.
Yeah. Well, Kermit the Frog doesn't help.
Kermit the Frog?
Yeah, Kermit the Frog, yeah. Doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't do anything for my career.
Gives you a good laugh, though.
Yeah, sure does. It makes me laugh. That's all it does.
Sorry, I was just looking up some stuff.
No, that's all right. You said you had some trivia?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring out some trivia. I'll just say what the question is or the fact, and then give the answer. It's kind of fun. My colleague and I, Tom, and his name's Tom, aka Tomcat. We used to teach classes together before COVID, and what we would do in our classes is we'd throw in trivia and fun facts about wine. So his suggestion to me for our podcast was to throw in some trivia. So this one's for you, Tom. I'm going to ask, you can try to answer, Brian, if you think you can.
Okay.
If not, then just let me know. Match the following foods to its proper wine. So when you think about chewy meat, would you put that with a high tannin wine, a sweet wine, or a high acidic wine?
High acidic?
Okay, I'll give you your answer in a minute. And then salty foods, would you match that with a high acid wine, high tannin wine, or sweet wine?
I'm going to say a tannin wine for the...
And then a high acid food, would you put that with a high tannin wine, high acid wine, or sweet wine?
Oh, the beer.
Beer, high acid food.
Beer, high acid food. Well, you need to match it with an acid wine. If not, you're just going to have a whole bunch of stuff going. Yeah, you have a whole.
All right, let's see what. Yeah. So you got the last one right.
Okay.
The chewy meat was you pair it with a high tannin wine.
Okay.
And salty food is paired with a sweet wine.
Oh, okay.
So when so there's a compare and contrast class that Tom and I used to teach. Mm-hmm. So depending on the fattiness of the food or the fattiness of a wine, you're going to do contrast or compare. So if you have a chewy meat, you need the high tannic wines. The tannins break down the fat of the food. Mm-hmm. And then on the salty food, it's a balance. So when you have a salty food, you need to pull in some sweet to balance out the taste. And then that, because what your whole goal is in food and wine pairing, is to create a path where the foods are like on the same road. Mm-hmm. And so that was a hard one because I found this page and it's most of them were just like single questions.
Right. No, I if it were me, I'd pick white Russian.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Me too. I got my white Russian right now. Okay, so Chardonnay can grow in what climate? Warm climate, modern climate, cool climate, all of the above.
I'm gonna say moderate or modern climate. I think that's what you said. Moderate. It's probably all the above, but I'm gonna say moderate. Just to...
I picked the answer. It's all of the above.
Is it?
It's
okay.
So because depending on the style, the Chardonnay, if you're trying to achieve a cooler, like a Burgundian style mm-hmm. Pinot Noir or Chard, they're going to be in a cooler climate. Okay. So if you're trying to get more of a So that will, let me go back to that. So that's going to be a wine that's lighter, silkier, mm-hmm. not heavy in oak. If you want some more buttery tones or more oaky tones, then you're going to grow it in a heavier, or you're going to grow it in a warmer climate. And that's going to give the Chardonnay a whole different taste. Moderate mm-hmm. climates mean that it can be transitional, depending on the winemaker's style. Mm-hmm. They can grow the Chardonnay in either climate. It's how the length of time, the harvest, and how their technique is. And when they decide, they actually have to go out there and look at things, taste the grapes, see what's going on, decide if they're going to keep it on a little bit longer. But the Chardonnay basically is very versatile. Yeah. And so it's just Cabernet and Chardonnay are the two top growing grape varieties in the entire world. They're more hardy or tenacious. Like they can grow in many different types of climates.
So in my head, in my horticultural brain, I might be wrong, but colder climate is lower yield, a bigger grape. In hotter climate is higher yield, smaller grapes. That's my brain.
What did you say? But you said hotter climates are
higher yield, smaller grapes. That's my brain. That's what makes sense to me. Because they're going to put on a higher yield because of the temperatures, depending on how much water is available. But they're not going to be able, because of the higher yield, the plant has to put out more nutrients. Since the higher yield, you're going to have smaller grapes.
Right.
Yeah, but the smaller grapes, because it's hotter temperatures, they have thinner skins, and they have more fruit content. When your colder temperatures have thicker skins and not as much juice in there.
Does it sound right
I think
to me?
I'm right. I think I'm right. I don't know. We'll see. Someone will call in or someone will call me and say, you're a dumbass.
Sorry, I was skipping over some hard trivia questions.
Okay, that's right. Oh, okay.
Well, there's like Germany and stuff.
Oh, Germany. You
You
can ask me some German ones. I'll go get my Lederhosen. You can ask me some German questions.
It was talking about what regions are grow certain varieties. And
South.
So we haven't done a German one, so I wasn't going to go there.
We haven't. I did a job for a guy who's going to give me a German wine. He was from Germany. He never gave it to me. I did the job, and he never gave me the wine. I was so disappointed. I wanted that. Because Germany is known for the whites, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Riesling in particular.
Okay. I know my German stuff.
But they do also grow Pinot Noir in some locations in Germany.
But I heard that
and there was a sweet
the number
red
one thing
wines.
is the white, right?
The whites are the number one. Yeah. Let me ask you one more question. Okay. So we've studied the palate. Remember what the visual picture of where all the taste buds are?
Yes.
And sweet and savory and bitter and uname.
Uname is in the middle.
Yeah. So where is the bitterness detected on?
On the two sides.
So that's correct because it was a true or false question. It says the taste buds that detect bitterness are located in the center of the tongue, and the center is uname.
Yeah.
So far, I got 5 out of 100. This is a long quiz.
Silence is golden.
What flavors are added to the wine by maturing with oxygen?
Oh, wow.
Coffee, hazelnut, buttery, toffee, walnut, vanilla, fig.
Is that the answer?
No, those are the ones you can pick from.
Oh. By adding oxygen?
It says what flavors are added to the wine by maturing with oxygen.
Maturing with oxygen.
So when it's maturing and oxygen is hitting the wine, what flavors can develop from that? Sorry.
Wow, that's a good one.
It's more than one. Coffee.
I'm gonna say
hazelnut. Butter, toffee, walnut, vanilla, and fig. I'm
gonna say toffee and hazelnut.
Okay.
And then
you're correct so far. There's 2 more.
I don't know.
There's 2 more.
Coffee's a little strong. Is
coffee?
Oops, I thought there was a bug on me. And then
there's 1 more. Think of the Mediterranean. I'll give you a hint.
No, I can't think of the other one.
Oh, you don't know what the last one is?
No.
So your choices were walnut, vanilla, or fig.
Oh, so it'd have to be vanilla?
I said Mediterranean, not Madagascar.
Fig?
Yeah. Sorry, cheated on that one.
That's all right.
Okay, here's just 1 more. Hotter climates encourage what in red wine? So let me give you the choices. Higher color and tannin, fuller bodied, higher alcohol content, all of the above.
Can you give me that again? Sorry.
Okay. Hotter climates encourage what in red wine? So the choices are higher color and tannin, fuller body, higher alcohol content, all of the above. I already answered it for you.
It's either fuller body or all the above.
It's all of the above.
All the above? So it was fuller body.
Yeah. Pinot Noirs are best drunk young or aged?
Well, Pinot Noirs can't age past 7 years, so I guess young.
Correct. Right. What wine should accompany salty foods? We just went over this. Sweet, creamy, high tannin, high acid.
It says salty food?
Remember we just had that in a couple questions back.
Yeah, but no, I don't remember. I'm going to say acid.
You said that in the other one. Your brain went back to the same one. It's salty food. Remember, so think of yin and yang. Salty with sweet.
Sweet.
Yeah. So there's a balance.
So I'm going to edit that out. I'm going to say sweet. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to put your answer back.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, this one's difficult. It's a challenge. You're going to be picking from areas of France or Argentina. Mass-produced, moderately priced, light fruity, melon citrus, unoaked. Are you going to get those from, is that Mendoza Chardonnay, Pulgany Montrachet, Puy Fusé, and Macon?
The first one.
It's Macon.
Which is the last
Village, which is from France.
France.
Yeah.
Huh. You said unoaked.
Unoaked. Macon, does unoaked Chardonnays. I'm gonna just do one more. Okay. Medium-bodied red, balanced fruity, savory aromas, light tannins, medium to high acidity. So medium-bodied red, balanced fruity, savory aromas, light tannins. So that's kind of key, light tannin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Medium to high acidity. Would you pick a description for a Napa Valley Cab, Sauvignon, a German Spot Burgunder, Bourgogne AC, or Bordeaux AC? Light tannin.
Light tannin would probably be from Napa. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to go Bourgogne.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Burgundian.
A Burgundian, sorry.
No, you said it right. It's Bourgogne, but it's Burgundian.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, because the next one is like too long.
All right, I got 3 out of 15.
You did 11. You did 11 out of 100. We're not done, but it's going to take long.
Oh.
Anyways, hopefully you remember some of those trivia facts. If not, we'll have more next week.
I forgot already.
I'll do some jokes next time. That was more like trivia facts.
No, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. All right. It's better. I listen to some podcasts and they're doing like the Harry Potter thing. They want to find out they're a Hufflepuff or a Gryffindor. I've never seen Harry Potter, so I don't know.
From watching Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, Big Bang Theory.
What's his name?
You went to Harry Potter without me. Yeah, Sheldon.
Sheldon.
Yeah, Sheldon, Amy Farrah Fowler.
Yeah.
They're funny. Alrighty. Well, this has been another episode, again, live from the Coachella Valley in Palm Springs. Wine from on the vine to the road tasted. I'm Dan Rather, and you are...
Jasmine. Yeah.
Oh.
Who am I?
Katie Couric?
I don't know.
You're Jasmine.
No, I'm Jasmine. I'm nobody else.
You're nobody else. You're Jasmine. I'm not Dan Rather. Who am I? I'm Pauly Shore from MTV.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard that in a while.
All right, guys. Wine from on the vine to the road tasted. I'm sorry I had to sit through this. And if you didn't sit through this, you probably are okay. So, all right.
All right. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.